What's up, guys? Alright, today I'm going to be grinding all the scale off of this, kind of touching it up a little bit. Then I'm going to put the blade that I want to make copy. I'll actually glue it on here, trace it out, and then cut some of this off, and then kind of get it down to much closer to the final shape. Right now, we're just going to be sanding all this scale off on the belt sander, get it good and flat and straight, and get her cleaned up. Alright, we've got this, all the scale ground off of it. It's all, not all flat, but it's relatively flat. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to kind of clean this off a little bit. I'm going to place the blade on here. I'm going to put some blue Dicom down, some tracing fluid, layout fluid, excuse me, and then I'm going to super glue the blade that I'm going to make out of this onto this, and then from there I can outline it and begin sanding that profile in and get the final dimensions that I want. Next step, blue Dicom. This is a layout fluid. It's just a fast drying dye. Kind of leaves a blue film on the steel, and then once that dries, I'm going to take trusty old super glue, dab a little onto the blade, and I'm going to glue it onto there. Then I'll take my scribe, I'll scribe the line, and in the event and inevitable event that this pops off of here when I'm either sanding, getting down to final size or whatever, I'll still have my lines that I'll know that I need to size this to, and I can just keep going from there. So let that dry, and then I'll be gluing the blade on there. I'm really excited to etch this because I can see the pattern. It shows up. I don't know that y'all can see it, but I can see the lines and the raindrops in there, and it looks fantastic. I think it's going to look phenomenal when we get the etch on there. I'll probably do a little early etch, and I may show you guys, or maybe I'll wait to etch it when once it's heat treated, and the etch always shows up a whole lot better after that. But let that dry a little bit, throw the super glue on, and I'll probably get I made it way too big for the blade that I need, so I'm just going to go to the bandsaw and I'll cut that piece off, but then you can watch me finish the grinding. Okay, now the grout fluid has dried. I'm going to throw a dab of super glue on here and stick it to the blade, hold it on there a little bit and let it set, and then once it's set, I'll scribe my lines. Okay. You can see that set on there. Now let's just let the super glue set up. It's pretty quick. So it always seems to smudge out right there at the top, but when it's still wet like that, the scribe cuts through it no problem. Nice lines when this blade inevitably pops off because of the heat, or just you don't get a real good adhesion, steel on steel, especially the polished steel of the blade here. The 60 grit that I have on the billet is probably better, but again, it is super glue and it's metal on metal, so don't expect a very good adhesion. And even when it does pop off and I can grind to the lines will be a little proud just because of the angle on the scribe here, but I can just grind right up to them and it'll be pretty close. This is the trickiest part, the lock mechanism here. This here I won't fool with a whole lot on the grinder. I'll get the backside and under here down, but this here I'll make a few notches in there, but all of that I'll do by hand with file work, just because if you don't get this right, then it doesn't function right. It won't lock right, or it'll wiggle and all that. So this has to be perfect. Do it by hand. Make sure you don't have any slip ups. Slow and steady with a file, and that seems to do the trick. Okay, got the scribe lines down. This glue's still setting up, but while it's setting up, I'm going to go ahead and cut off this end here, little excess material I don't need on the bandsaw. Use that for something else. It's good Damascus. It's got the pattern and everything. Alright, I'm going to head to the bandsaw, take that off, and then I'll come back on the sander and start working these edges around, getting to final shape. Something I also like to do, even before that, is go ahead and drill my hole now when it's super glued on there, and get the right size, right placement. So I'll do that on the drill press in a few minutes. Alright, I got this on the drill press now. I'm going to use a little piece of wood here as backing. That'll help prevent it from making a big chip on the backside and kind of coming out ugly. Do this first in case this blade comes off or whatever. I'll still have the scribe lines, but I've got the hole in there to index it and be ready to go. Whew. All right, that worked good. Um, when you're dealing with these tool steels, sometimes if you don't let them sit up in the forge and anneal very well, when you go to try to drill a hole in it, it's not having any of it. You end up just tearing up drill bits, cheap drill bits, expensive drill bits, you name it. It's just not going to make it through. That worked really well. You can see there's nothing, no chip or lip on there. It's all really smooth. So now that I got the hole in it, I'm ready to start grinding this away, the excess material, and we'll go back to the sander now. I'm back on the belt sander. We're just going to start hogging away that material, that excess. One of the things I found works pretty well, it's hell on the belts, but I'll trim the belt over just a little bit off this platen, and then I can get the edge kind of right on there, and it seems to work a little bit faster going that way. Like I said, it's hell on the edge of this belt, and then when you go to try and sand something flat like that, your belt is a little more worn on this side than the middle or that side, etc. But hey, you got to do something. You get impatient, want it to go a little faster, you figure out ways to do it. Here we go. Okay, we got it set up on the vise now. I'm going to be using an assortment of files to get this notch in here cut down to the exact size of the original blade. So get started on there. You hear kind of a difference there, much harder versus softer steel. That's this original blade's already been hardened. The blade we're making is not yet, so it helps when you're filing like this. It kind of becomes a really good good guide, because the file won't cut into this hardened steel, but it'll still cut into the softer unhardened steel, and so it makes for a really good template. You go till you hear the file skate, and then you know you're at the depth you need to be. So I'll get the locking mechanism. Start checking our fit. So I still have a ways to go. That's the lock on the original blade. It won't quite fit in the new one, so I still have a ways to go. Clear that material out of there. I'll start using some flat files, a little finer edge that'll slowly take away that material until that fits just perfect in there. Close now. it'll fit down in there, but we're a little proud right here on the top. So just take a little bit more off. I think I'm gonna take it off on this. Try and see which side is proud. Take a little off the front here towards the point of the blade. The back is really close. So this is one of the most crucial points of this whole endeavor is making sure you get this fit just perfect. Like I said, if you don't, then the blade just doesn't open and lock back right. It doesn't. If it locks, it wiggles and stuff like that. So it's real crucial point. It's stressful because with metal, and especially with a tool steel like that, you can take some away, but you can't put it back. You could always try and weld and do all that and throw some more metal in and grind it down, but when you do that, the intense heat really messes with the structure of the steel, and you have a weak point in there. So we are really close. Just got a little bit more to take off right there, and we will be in business. There we are. It's locking very tight. So tight that it'll pull it out of the vise. Alright. Just got a little bit more to just kind of get the depth of it to make sure it's smooth all the way through. Because when the spring is loaded onto here and you open it, you really want it to snap in nice and kind of reassuring sound that your blade is sufficiently engaged and you know it's safe. It's not going to spring back on you. Much easier with a CNC or milling machine or something like that. Your tolerances are much tighter on those types of machines. So doing it by hand, it's a little more difficult, but it can be done. There. Undercut that a little bit, just make sure we're getting enough for that to rest all the way down. There we go. We are now ready to take this to the grinder again, and hey, perfect timing, it came off. Okay, I've got the blade on my homemade jig. It works, but it helps hold the angle here when I'm grinding these bevels in. Turn it on and give it a couple passes, make sure I've I've got the angle set to what I would like it to be.